Hello, welcome back. Thanks for meeting me on your mat. Today we're going to flow through a hip opener sequence. No need for blocks or straps or any additional props. You'll just need yourself and your mat today. So when you're ready, go ahead and meet me on your mat. We'll get started. Jump right in. Come to sit in an easy seat in Sukhasana, either placing one leg in, the right leg first, foot going in, and then left leg, foot going in front of right foot. Or if it's more comfortable to cross your legs. But find a comfortable seated position. And once you find it, move your fleshy part of your butt out the way so that you're sitting on your sits bones and providing length through the spine. Once you're adjusted, take a deep breath in. Exhale. Take 2 more deep breaths in. Exhale through the mouth. 1 more. Continue breathing as you bring awareness to this present moment. Start to settle into your mat, into your body, and let go of the distractions of the outside world, sounds you can hear around you, people who may even be moving about around you. Try to focus on yourself, on your internal state, and come to sit quietly in easy seat. Continue breathing. As you start to ground into your mat, taking note of how your body currently feels. Do a quick body scan starting at the top of your head, checking to see how your head feels. Do you have a headache? How do your eyes feel? How about your nose? Are you congested? Your mouth, your ears? Do you have an earache? Move down to your neck, your shoulders. See if you're holding any tension. But just check. We're not currently trying to adjust any of those feelings. We just want to see how the body feels currently. Continue moving down your body. Check to see if your pecs hurt. Are they uncomfortable? Do they feel strained? How does your shoulders and your arms feel? Your elbows, down to your fingertips. And how do you feel in the core of your body? How does your chest feel? How does your stomach feel? Your digestive tract, your abdomen? How do these areas currently feel? I can tell you today, my insides hurt. Digestive woes this morning. So, how do you feel? How do your hips feel? Do you have any pain? Your lower back, does that hurt? It's normally a trigger for people. The upper parts of your thighs, your hamstrings, do they feel tight? Do they feel ready? Down to your shins, your calves, your ankles, and your feet. Now that you've taken note of how the body feels, I'd like to offer this time for you to set an intention for today's practice. If you do not have an intention, I can offer you mine. My intention is to be kind with my body as we move today. I'm feeling a little sore, and my body is asking me to be a little more cognizant of the way I move through my environments. So I offer that intention of being kind to yourself and your body today on the mat, if you do not have an intention and would like one. Now that you have an intention set, if you've come out of easy seat, meet me back in easy seat. And we'll do some stretching and breathing as we warm up for today's sequence. So inhale, lift our arms up. Exhale, link the fingers and then twist the palms to face towards the ceiling. Then exhale, bring the palms behind your head and squeeze your elbows together. Inhale, lift the arms up, palms to the ceiling. Exhale, flip the palms down, bring them behind the head, squeezing the elbows in. See if your shoulders are already starting to rise up. If so, try to lower them down through the shoulder blades in your back. We're going to complete 2 more rounds. Last one. Perfect. Release. Shake your shoulders out. Inhale, take your left hand up. Place it on the right side of your head, around your ear, and lower your left ear to your left shoulder. With your left hand, don't necessarily push down onto your head, but provide a little bit of an extra resistance. From here, take 5 deep breaths. On your exhale, see if you can settle into the stretch a little further. Once again, check to see if your shoulders are all up by ears, scrunched up. I'm going to lower them down. And exhale, release. Inhale, lift your right arm up. Place it on the left side of your head near your ear. And lower the right ear to the right shoulder. Take 5 deep breaths here. Check if you have length in your spine. Take notice of any differences and sensations you feel on this side versus the other. Last inhale. Exhale, release. We will do a cactus flow. Inhale, lift the arms up into cactus or Cuban arms if you're used to doing. Exhale, hold them inwards, close them together, palms together, keeping elbows up parallel to shoulders. Inhale, spread them out. Exhale, bring them together. Complete 5 more at your own pace. 2 more. Last one. Lower your arms, shake them out. And from here, place your fingertips on your shoulders. So extend your arms out, and then like you're doing curl bells or dumbbells to your head, or inwards to yourself. Go ahead and do that motion, and then place your fingertips on the tops of your shoulder. We're going to do some socket rotations. So you want to come into the body, bringing elbows together, and then up and out. And we're going to continue that motion of together, up with the points of your elbows and out. So you should see that the points of your elbows are leading and where the direction will go. If you are finding a lot of crunching in your shoulders, take smaller circles. Take 3 more in this direction. Last one. And then switch directions. So we'll come from the outside, in, down, around, out, in, down, and around. Take 5 more. Last one. Perfect. Shake out. Lower your left hand to the mat. Inhale, lift your right arm up, and then lean over to the left side of your mat, placing either your elbow on the floor if needed, or you might be up here. That's perfectly okay too. So just come into a side body stretch. Hold for 3 more breaths. Last breath. And release your hand down to the other side. Inhale, lift your left arm up. Exhale, bring it over your head, over the body, lowering down onto your right arm. Take 2 more breaths. Attempting to keep the left hip down onto the mat as you bend over. Last breath. Exhale, release. Come to turn with your feet out in front of you. Come into Dandasana or staff pose. So bring both feet out in front of you. Lengthen through the spine, ensuring an erect back. You may feel this down into your hamstrings, especially if you have tight hamstrings. And then hands on either side, or on both sides of your hips, underneath the shoulders. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, straighten the arms, and lift your hips off the mat. Just a little bit. Inhale, exhale, down to the mat. Perfect. And we're going to cradle one leg. So place your right foot onto the mat, and then swing your right foot up into the air and place your right arm on the outside of your knee. Left hand can also bring your right shin closer to the body, but we want to try to bring the shin to chest as much as possible. So just kind of stretching this external rotation of the hip, preparing as we do additional hip openers. So you just want to kind of cradle your leg. I'm very awkward about it. Find where you feel comfortable cradling it and take 2 more breaths here. Perfect. And while you have your toe here, holding your right foot in your left hand, take your right hand and coming through the inside of your leg, go ahead and grab your big toe and then extend the leg out in front of you. Not as concerned about keeping it straight. If you're only able to do this, that's 100% okay. Just try to push through the bottom of your sole, engaging the back of your hamstrings and your whole leg, really, to give that nice push and stretch. So take 2 more breaths here. Bring the foot down to the mat. Take your left arm and your left hand. Grab your big toe of your right foot that you just had. Place your right hand behind you for support. Inhale, lift. Exhale, extend the foot with your left hand, right foot extending forward. And if you feel comfortable to do so, lift the right arm back behind you as well for a full body stretch. Take 2 breaths here. Open through the chest. Slowly release the arm back forward, help to bring the foot down to the mat, and then exhale. From here, we'll try to stick our leg straight into the air as much as you're able to do so. So inhale, grab onto the bottom of your foot. Exhale. Inhale, lift the foot up. So it was on the mat, you're just wrapped around the bottom of the foot, and then lift and extend the leg out and up, which may look like all our other poses and just be in front of you, as you can see with mine. But ideally, we'd like to try to strive to bring our knee to forehead. So not forehead to knee, but knee to forehead. Take 2 more breaths here. And then lower the foot down to the mat. Shake it out in front of you. And then straighten it. Bring the feet together, hip width distance. Plant the hands underneath the shoulders as we come back into Tadasana, staff pose. Inhale, lift. Try to engage your core, engage your back muscles to keep your back straight so that you're not bending backwards here or even forwards. Like to stay in a neutral position. Last inhale, exhale, release. Bring the left foot to plant onto the mat as we come to cradle our left leg. Lift the leg into the air and over the right thigh We're going to place our right arm underneath the left ankle or left foot. Left arm is going to come around the outside of the knee as we bring the shin closer to chest, or as close to chest as possible. Trying to remember not to dump into your lower back, but keeping a straight back. Take 5 breaths here. Two more breaths. Feel it in the outside of your hip, this external rotation. Last breath. Place the leg back on your mat. Wrap your left hand around your left toe. Inhale, lift the leg up. Exhale, extend the leg forward. Take 3 breaths here. And release the leg down to the mat. Wrap your right hand around the toes. Bring your left hand behind you for support. Inhale, lift your left leg up. Exhale, extend the leg forward into your right palm. If you're comfortable, lift your left arm behind you, opening through the chest for an open chest stretch as well. Take 3 breaths here. Check to see if you've got your left leg all the way over to the right. You want to bring it back out so that it's more parallel and in front of the body. Last breath. Release it down to the mat. Take both hands, place on the bottom of your foot, wrap around the bottom of your foot. Inhale, lift the leg up. Exhale, try to extend the foot up towards the ceiling, bringing knee to forehead. Stay here for 5 breaths. Check to see what your right foot's doing. Keep it engaged by pointing the toes back at you. Two more breaths. Release the leg down to the mat out in front of you. Place the hands underneath your shoulders, feet straight out in front of you. Inhale, lift up. Hold for 3 breaths. Check to see which ways you're leaning. Try to bring awareness. Last breath. Exhale, lower. Come to tabletop. Roll over onto your side. Check to see about your bones stacking. Our shoulders stack closely, our wrists stack closely on your shoulders. our knees stacked under hips. You may find that getting a mirror into your space or recording yourself as you flow and practice will help you identify where your body is when you can't 100% tell. I know often that I'm a little unstacked when it comes to my hips and knees, a little more so with my wrists and shoulders, but I only know that because I have watched my own recordings of practice. So I definitely recommend that to anybody who is currently not doing so. Once you find that you're in a neutral tabletop, we'll take a few rounds of cat-cows. So inhale, lift your gaze forward with your head, broaden through the chest, lower the belly button to the mat. Exhale, round the back, lower the head, bringing the gaze to the belly button or between your legs. Pulling the belly button in towards the spine. Inhale, broaden and lift, scooping forward. Exhale, round through the back, lowering the gaze. Take 3 more cat-cows at your own pace. Last one. And then meet in neutral tabletop. Slide your arms forward as we come into puppy pose. Bring your hips still stacked over knees. Slide your arms out in front of you, hips stacked over knees where that's comfortable, and then lower your head to the mat. You should feel a nice stretch in the upper part of your body, upper part of your back, into your shoulders maybe even. Hold this pose for 5 breaths. Try to breathe into any places that may feel uncomfortable or tight. Sending breath there will provide them some additional support, those places that are sore. Last breath. Exhale, release into downward facing dog. Plant the hands, tuck the toes, send hips up and back to our first downward facing dog. Push one heel down or lower one heel to the mat, lower the other as you walk those legs out a little bit, bending the knees. And then walk to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift up. Exhale, forward fold. Ooh. Careful not to lean too far back onto your heels. Inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, hands to your side, Tadasana. At the front of your mat, inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale into a back bend stretch with your arms straight up still. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift up. Exhale, step your left foot back. Lower the left foot down to the mat. Right foot still in front and bent from the way that you've had to step back. So bend the right knee, lower the left leg all the way down, lower the left foot to the top of the mat. Inhale, lift your arms up into low lunge. Exhale, plant the hands down onto the mat. Step your right foot back into, and come into Chaturanga Dandasana. Down, inhale, lift up, looking forward to upward facing dog. Exhale, tuck the toes, bend the knees, send the hip bones up and back into downward facing dog. Inhale, step the left foot forward, bending the left knee. Lower the right knee to the mat and then lower the top of the right leg to the mat. Inhale, in your lunge, lift the arms up. Exhale, plant the hands down on both sides of your left foot. Lift, tuck your right toe, lift your right heel or right knee off the mat. And then step forward with your right leg leaning into your left for support if needed. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees generously. Inhale, lift all the way up. Hands to heart center. Exhale. Perfect. Inhale, lift arms up. Exhale, back bend. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, step the left foot back. Lower the left knee to the mat. Lower the top of the left foot down to the mat as well. Inhale, lift up into a low lunge. Exhale, plant the hands on either side of, or both sides of the right foot. Tuck the left toes. Lift the left knee up off the mat. Bring the right leg back to join and come into Chaturanga Dandasana. Down. Lift up into upward facing dog. Exhale. Send it back into downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, bend the knee. Step the left foot forward. Lower the right leg down to the mat. Inhale, lift your arms up into low lunge. Exhale, plant the hands down onto the mat. Lift, tuck your right toes, lift your right knee off the mat. Send your left leg back. You'll come into Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Walk to the front of your mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift up. Hands to the ceiling. Exhale, hands to the side. At the top of your mat, inhale, lift your arms up. A little back bend up at the top. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees generously as you come down. Plant the hands on the mat. Step your left foot back. Lower the left knee to the mat and the top of the left foot to the mat. If your right foot's not fully in front or in between your hands, scoot it a little bit further. And then inhale, lift up into low lunge. Arms lifted, a slight back bend variation here. Exhale, lower your hands to heart center. And then inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bring the left elbow on the outside of the right knee for a revolved low lunge with a side ankle twist. One more breath. And then if you're able to, lift your left knee off the mat, tuck the toes and lift the leg to do a low lunge revolved side ankle here as well. Hold this for 2 breaths. Exhale, release. Plant the hands on both sides of the right foot as you come into a runner's lunge. Straighten through the spine. Bring your gaze forward and your chest forward. Open up through the chest. And then send your right leg back as we come into Chaturanga Dandasana. High plank, lower down, elbows close to the body. Shift your weight forward and up into upward facing dog. And then bend the toes, or tuck the toes, bend the knees, and send the hips up and back into downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths here. One more breath. Step the left foot forward. Lower the right knee to the mat. Top of the right foot down to the mat as well. Inhale into your low lunge. Take one more breath here. Lower the hands to the heart. Inhale. Twist and revolve. Tuck the right arm around the left knee. So hook the right arm around the left knee. Head twist to the left side of your mat. Take 2 breaths here. If you're able to, tuck the right toes with the right leg off the mat, continuing to hold the revolved side angle. Take 2 breaths here. Release your hands down to the mat for a high lunge. Lift through the core of your body. Lift up. Run your chest through, providing length in your back. Exhale, send the leg back, left leg back. Come into your high plank, lower down into Chaturanga Dandasana, and shift forward into upward facing dog. Exhale, tuck the toes, bend the knees, and send the hips up and back into downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths here. One more breath. Walk to the top of your mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift all the way up. Arms to your side and Tadasana. Do not come to the top of your mat. We inhale into Utkatasana, chair pose. And then exhale. Hook the left arm around the right knee, sending your hips back as if you were sitting in a chair. Come into revolved chair pose. Take 3 breaths here. Release. Stand straight or in chair pose, actually still. And then bring hands to heart center as we transition into our right leg. Lift our left leg up and maintain hands at heart center. Take one more breath. And then swing the leg up and through as you transition your hands to your hips. Engaging the foot by bringing the toes, pulling the toes back to you on the left leg. One more breath. And then lower the foot to the mat. Inhale, lift your left knee up. And then cross your left knee over your right thigh, bringing it to sit. Lower down into your chair pose, hands at heart center. Hold this for 2 breaths if able. Pushing through all 3 or 4 corners of the feet. Exhale, release. Perfect, we'll do it on the other side. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, bring the hands to heart center. Revolve, hooking the right leg over the outside of the left knee, sending the hip points back as it's sitting. Take 2 breaths here. And release. Actually, I skipped a bunch of steps. So inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift up. Exhale, step both feet back. Chaturanga Tadasana into upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Walk to the front of your mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, chair pose. Here we go. And then exhale, hook and revolve the right elbow over the left knee. We'll just take 1 breath here. With arms still to heart center, we'll transition our weight into our left foot, bringing our right foot up and back, sending us forward. Take 2 breaths here. And then straighten and scoop the leg in front, bringing your hands to your hips. Lower the leg down to the mat. Inhale the right knee up, placing the right ankle on left thigh. Inhale into chair pose, hands at heart center. Take 2 breaths. Release the leg down to the mat. Inhale into chair pose. Exhale into Tadasana, hands at your side. Inhale, lift arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, bend the knees generously, forward fold. Place the hands on the mat if you're able to. Inhale, halfway lift up. Bring your gaze forward. Exhale, plant both hands on the mat. Send your feet back as we chaturanga tadasana into downward facing dog. Perfect. Inhale, lift the right leg back and then up for one leg. Oh, actually lower the leg back down to the mat. We're going to lower our elbows first to the mat, coming into dolphin pose, and then inhale, lift the leg up and back for one leg dolphin. And then lower the leg back down. Lift yourself back into downward facing dog as we prepare for one leg downward dog to tiger curl. Inhale, lift the right leg up. Exhale, bend, curve the back, bringing right leg to your right elbow. And then lift the leg back up. Right leg to right elbow. Inhale. Exhale. Two more. Bring it back up. And swing it through to step forward. Pivot the left foot down to the mat. Turned at an angle. Inhale, lift up into Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. Bring your hands to your hips. Straighten the front right leg. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold over the right leg for an intense side stretch. Take 2 breaths. Place your hands on the floor. Bend your knee if needed. Take 2 more breaths. Come back, place hands on the hip, straighten the leg if you'd bent it some. Inhale, exhale, fold over. One more breath. Fantastic. Bend the knee, lift the arms up, come back into Warrior 1. Exhale, plant the hands on both sides of the feet. Send the foot back. Tuck the toes, bend the knees, and send the hips up and back into downward facing dog. Repeat the vignette on the other side. I'll lower the arms down to the mat for puppy. Lift one leg up and back. Hold for 2 breaths. And release down to the mat. We're back into downward facing dog. And inhale, lift the leg up and back. Exhale, curve the back, round the back, bring to left elbow. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, left elbow. 2 more. Plant the left foot between your legs. Inhale, come into warrior 1. Pivot the right foot back and down. Straighten the left leg. Inhale, lengthen. Hands on hips. Exhale, fold over for an intense side stretch in your leg. Plant the hands either side, bending the knee if needed to provide so you're able to put your hands on the floor. And then try to straighten through the knee as much as you're able to. One more breath. Back to your hips. Inhale. Exhale over. Hold for 2 breaths. And release. Come into warrior 1. Exhale, plant the hands. Pivot the right foot. Send the left foot back, tuck the toes, bend the knees, and send up and back for downward facing dog. And lower your knees to the mat. Send your, lay the tops of your feet down onto the mat. And send your hips back onto your heels for child's pose. Either extended child's pose with your arms in front of you, or you may bring your arms to rest on the tops of them next to you on either side of your body, if that is more comfortable. Take 3 breaths here. Bring your arms back in front of you where they were extended, and come to the tabletop. Lower your elbows down to the mat. Hips should be stacked. Knees should be stacked under your hips. Arms out in front. Palms flat on the mat. Tuck the toes, send the hips up and back into dolphin pose, excuse me. And then lift the right leg up for 1 leg, dolphin pose. Hold for 2 breaths. And then bring your right leg through center. Bring your right knee to elbow as much as possible. Bring it up and through to elbow, to wrist as much as possible. And then lower your left leg down as you come into half pigeon pose. Check to see if your left leg is wildly doing its own thing. And then try to bring your hands back and lift the chest forward. If you're able to settle onto your mat in half pigeon, perfect, otherwise not. And then come to settle down behind your right knee onto your right hip. And if you're able to, just try to grab with your left hand on the outside of your left foot and bring back towards your body. Continue to be stretched out if you're able to. Or come up here for additional support and grab on the inside or the outside of your foot, whichever is more accessible or easier to you. And then release that down to the mat. Transition back over onto your left leg so that you can come up and off. Tug your left toes, lift the knee off the mat, bring your right foot back to join, bend the knees, come into downward facing dog, lower the elbows and the palms to the mat, lift one leg, left leg in the air for one leg puppy pose, hold for 2 breaths. Bring your left leg, knee up to left wrist, lower down onto it, coming into half pigeon. If you're able to grab the right side or your right foot and bring it back some for an additional stretch here, great. If not, continue to stay in half pigeon and try to sink lower in. Otherwise, two breaths. And down to the mat. Lift, tuck the other toes, bend the knees, send the hips up and back for downward facing dog. And then lift your right leg through. Bring both arms to the inside of your leg, keeping your left leg up and lifted. Lower down to your elbows if you're able to. Otherwise, come back to your hands and just try to lower your elbows down as we come into lizard pose. Hold for 2 breaths. And then send the right leg back. Bend the knee. Lift up and back into downward facing dog. Lift the left leg up. Bring it forward. Bring both arms to the inside, widening your left leg out. Try to lower down for lizard. Take 2 breaths. Lift up. Send the left leg back. And then meet in downward facing dog. And lower your knees to the mat. Come into child's pose. Hold for 3 breaths. One more breath. Tuck the toes, lift knees, send them up and back into downward facing dog. Lift the right leg up into the sky. Exhale, bring the right leg forward. Lower the left knee to the mat and the top of the left foot to the mat. From here, grab the left foot with your left hand, either coming around to grab the inner arch or to grab the outside of the foot, whichever is more comfortable or accessible for you. And bring your left foot to your butt as much as possible. You should feel a stretch in the front part of your thigh. Take 2 breaths here. and release. Plant your hands on either side of your foot. Inhale, broaden through the chest. Exhale, straighten your foot, lifting the front of your heel off the mat and curve the back over the knee for a stretch through. And inhale, straighten the leg, broaden the chest, look forward. Exhale, round the back, straighten the leg, gaze down, inhale. Exhale. One more time on your own. And then while you're here, swing your arms back for airplane mode, or airplane arms, excuse me. Exhale. Bend over your right leg for half splits with airplane arms. One more breath. Plant the hands, tuck the left toe, send the right feet back. So we do a chaturanga to downward dog kind of flow. So we'll go forward to chaturanga, bend the knees, send the hips up and back into downward facing dog. Shift forward to chaturanga, bend the knees, send it back and up, and then continue at your own pace. One more. And then actual chaturanga, lower down, shift forward to upward facing dog. And exhale, tuck the toes, send the knees, lift the hips up and back. Lift the left leg up to the sky. Bring it forward in between both hands. Lower the right knee to the mat, tops of the right foot to the mat as well. With your right hand, grab the outer or inner part of your right foot and bring it up and back to your butt as much as possible. One more breath. Exhale, lower. And dynamic straight leg movement. Inhale, lift up. Feel that lunge stretch here in this region. Exhale, straighten the knees, send the hips back. Curve over the knee. Toes pointed towards you. Transition, inhale, lift up. Exhale. Three more. Last one. While you're here, inhale, lift arms up. Exhale, send them back. Then you're going to bend over your knee. 3, do a half splits with airplane arms. Engage the toes, bring them back. Take 2 more breaths. Release the knee, release the foot down to the mat. Tuck your left toes. Lift the left knee up and off the mat. Send your your left foot Lift your right toes. Tuck your right toes, lift your right knee off the mat, and send your left foot back as we transition into a Chaturanga Dandasana, upward facing dog. Exhale, tuck the toes, bend the knees, lift the hips up and back, and downward facing dog. And we're gonna hold this downward dog for 5 breaths. It's our last one. We're making it really count. Two more breaths. Lower your knees to the mat. Swing your feet out in front of you. Oh, actually, I lied. Lower your knees to the mat. From downward facing dog. Set your hips back on top of your heels. And come to rest in a child's pose. Arms can either be extended in front or down by your side. I'd like you to take 3 full breaths here. As you inhale, breathe into the back, the upper back, the lower back, and your hips, sending them love and support for all the hard work that they just accomplished. And last breath, inhale. Exhale, rise up. Come to swing your feet through or turn and roll onto your back. Plant the bottoms of your feet onto the mat. Lift your knees up to your chest and hug them into your chest. A little wind relieving to help massage the lower back. You might feel it in your hips as you bring your knees closer, further away. Just take some small movement that feels comfortable to you right now. And then bring your arms to the inside of your feet. Lift your feet up into your palms. So you come into happy baby, knees spread out. A little pull, a stretch in the groin. Take movement that feels comfortable to you. And then lower the feet to the mat. Take your right knee, bend it up. With your left hand, guide it over to the left side of your body for a spinal twist. Engage your right arm out to the side and look over your right shoulder. Take 2 breaths here. And release it back to center. Lower the leg down to the mat. Bring your left foot up. Plant your foot on the mat. Lower your left knee to the right side of the mat. Extend your left arm out to the side and look over to your left shoulder. Hold this for 2 breaths. Bring it back to center. Lower your leg down. Or bring both feet flat onto the mat actually. We're going to do some last movement, windshield wipers. So lower left leg left side of your mat. Inhale, bring them to center. Exhale, lower them to the right side of your mat. Inhale, bring them to center. Exhale, lower. Inhale, center. Exhale, lower. Continue on with this movement. Try to remember to breathe with the fall and rise of your legs, or the lowering and rising of your legs. A couple more. Perfect. Take any residual movement you feel is necessary in your body to close out the sequence as we prepare for Savasana or corpse pose. If that looks like pelvic tilts, maybe you've got, a little tightness in your lower back, or maybe some arm movements, maybe your shoulders are a little tight, or you might even need to sit up and take a couple of, stretches. I want you to do whatever you need to do to feel comfortable in your body so that you can relax fully as we go into Savasana. In addition to any last minute movements you might need to make, I ask that if you find that your lower back really lifts off of the mat, or you find that you're dumping into your lower back in Savasana, which could be for a variety of reasons. It could be because your butt's a little large, and therefore, the space between your butt and the mat is a bigger difference than those of us with itty bitty booties. That's 100% all right. We have ways to resolve that. The tension in your back that you'll feel resolving that. So you can go ahead and grab a towel or a bolster or a blanket, and if you grab a blanket or a towel, you just want to roll it up a little bit and place that into the lower part of your back to help bring the earth to your back. Otherwise, you can also place both of your feet onto your mat, and this will help tilt your pelvis in a way that alleviates the space between your lower back and the mat. Whatever you do, I want you to find whatever is comfortable for you, and then go ahead and settle onto the mat. Legs out in front, feet sprayed open how they would like to be, following whichever direction. Hands down by your sides. Shoulders move down the mat, and settle in. Let your breathing take its natural course. If you fall asleep, that's a-okay. Just relax, and I'll talk to you all in about 15 minutes. start to bring awareness back into your body. If you drifted off to sleep, join us back in the realm of consciousness. Take notice of your breathing, what your inhales and exhales look like. Take notice of the sounds around you, any people that may be nearby. Invite your senses into the present moment, or to return to the present moment, I should say. When you start feeling comfortable, wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, make small movements with your hands and your feet. Get the sensation of movement back into your body, fully coming back into the body. Especially if you were lost in your thoughts or drifting to sleep, you may have wandered a little far from your body, so inviting you to come back into it. And then when you're ready, roll to one side and then push yourself up and come meet on your mat in a sitting position. As I close this out, today I'd like to read from Miss Van Zant's Acts of Faith, Van Zant. Lord, somebody help me pronounce this woman's name correctly. Oops, trying to see what the date is. It's the 5th. Awesome. Okay, so today's reading. Are you one of the human beings who knows there is more to being human than paying bills and not paying bills? Ooh, Reverend Frederick Price. Go ahead, take a moment to pinch yourself. Go ahead, pinch yourself. Feel that? You are alive. You have another opportunity to get this thing together. If you have it together, you have more opportunities for keeping and demonstrating how good you are. Go ahead, pinch yourself again. You have not been carted off to the cemetery. They have not thrown dirt in your face. You can still feel the snow on your face, the rain on your head, and the fire under your bottom. You are alive. That is really all it takes. A little time, the opportunity, and the desire. If you want abundance, pinch yourself. If you want success, pinch yourself. If you want good, loving relationships, pinch yourself. If you really want something good in your life, stop pinching yourself and go out and get it. Today's mantra, all it takes is a little life. If you would like to reflect on your practice today and would like a journal prompt to help with your reflection, please use the following. Give thanks for all that you have and for all the good that's waiting for you. Go for 109 statements of gratitude today. Write them down. Fantastic. Thank you so much for showing up today on your mat. I appreciate you taking the time for your health. Your body appreciates you for taking the time for your health as well. And until next time, I'll see you then. Thank you so much.